From the heart of ZIZ Radio comes a political talk show like no other. The Edge, with host Devonne Cornelius giving you his take on the biggest stories happening in governance today. Got something to say? Let's hear it. Give us a call at 869-465-2555, Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. One solid hour of in-depth analysis of the machinery that makes our country tick. The Edge, cutting into the matters at hand.
A pleasant morning to all at home and abroad, and thank you for tuning in to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. Today is Friday, January 19, 2024. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius, and again, thank you so much for tuning in. Joining the program today is the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honourable Dr. Terence Drew, who will speak on matters of national interest. Mr. Prime Minister, good morning and welcome to the program.
Yes, good morning, Devon. Thank you for having me. And I just want to extend Happy New Year to you and to your listeners. I think this is our first engagement
for the new year. Yes. And thank you so much. And I say welcome back to the program because you were here in November of last year.
Correct.
Right, welcome back to the program. So let's begin the conversation, and I want to begin with the recently announced Financial Education and Savings Program,
yes,
which was announced during the budget 2024 in an effort to get listeners up to date with the program, what they can expect from the program, and how it will run. So in terms of financing, funding, how will the program be financed?
Right.
And is there an annual budget that we can expect as it relates to that program?
Right. So I will say, just to bring some light to it, it is a program where every child in St. Kitts and Nevis between 5 and 18 will benefit from having this account. This account, what we are aiming for is at $500 with cash and use $500 to buy shares in different companies. And then added to that, we would have a robust financial education program so that we can start to get our children and young people financially educated. Now, the basis for this is to ensure that we start creating a climate of financial literacy and to deal with the issues of poverty that we might have in St. Kitts and Nevis. We are seeking to end poverty through empowerment and education. This program is revolutionary. I don't know of any other country, especially in the Western Hemisphere, that has implemented a program such as this. And these are the type of things that I think people voted for us for innovation and to bring new ways of approaching things so that in a great sense we can make sure that our people benefit and to set in place programs, policies, an agenda that is sustainable, that is practical, and that would resolve the many issues that we have. And this is, of course, part of our whole plan of creating a sustainable island state where our people will have the opportunity to advance here in St. Kitts and Nevis. The committee task force met yesterday, headed by the CABSEC, Dr. Marcus Natter, and he would have brought various persons from different organizations and stakeholders, including coming from National Bank, the Cable, Credit Union was also represented, Central Bank was also represented there on board, and we also had other experts. And they met yesterday as they really start to put flesh to the policy agenda, which we will roll out this year. Part of the funding would come from our savings within the government to really start it. It would, of course, be shares will be attached, and so we hope the dividend from those shares will also form part of how they're going to grow the accounts. Without getting into all the details, I'm thinking that they're going to present me their proposal next week or week after, but I can say basically that is the foundation of the program. So in terms of and where the initial funding coming from.
Okay.
So we're going to work out the details of the shares, how many shares, which companies, the dividend from the shares, how that is going to grow, the savings from the account, how that is going to grow. So we also have, I think, private sector people in there as well. And so we are happy that the private sector and financial institutions and the people of St. Kitts and Nevis have really embraced this revolutionary, innovative type of plan, so that our people, once and for all, would have the opportunity to break any cycles of poverty. And the good thing about this is it doesn't matter who your parent is or where you come from or how much they work for, you will equally benefit. And so in a sense, it's really to really bridge the gap in St. Kitts and Nevis so that the people can have a sense of equity and an opportunity to really do well in St. Kitts and Nevis. And so I'm excited about it. But that is, to answer your questions, that is the foundation of it, and that is where the initial funding will be coming from. And as the financial experts meet, they will help us to really formulate it into something lasting, sustainable, and would redound to the benefits of our young people.
Mr. Prime Minister, you mentioned a number of entities and representatives from both private and public. Which entity would be responsible for managing the entire program?
Right. So the program will be monitored and managed from the government's perspective.
Okay.
And the CAPSEC would be leading on that as he put a team together to manage that. So I can say that. In that meeting also is the FinSec. The FinSec is part of the committee, the task force rather. And she, of course, the financial secretary, understands where we are. So again, we have brought all the relevant people in to make sure that we manage it well. So we'll have the strong support from the Ministry of Finance.
How will the accounts be set up and where? And at what time would they become accessible?
Right. So we are aiming for the first half of this year. The accounts, the details on the accounts where they will be set up and so forth, that information is to come.
Okay.
That is what the task force now is finalizing. Yes, because we want broad participation and inclusion across St. Kitts and Nevis. But those details will be had very soon, as they are working them out presently.
Okay. You mentioned that it applies to children 5 to 18. Is it continuous, or is it only for children who are 5 to 18 right now?
No, it is continuous.
Okay.
So what happens? So when children who are 4, next year they become 5, they get their account.
Okay.
So it's almost like when you enter into primary school, you get your vaccination. So you have to get you get your vaccination, your medical checkup, and your account. That is how we're going to set it up.
Awesome.
So how we want to set up, you get all of that, your account and your device, your iPad. So once students get into primary school, we want to fully equip them for school and for life.
Right.
So that it will be part of it. Yes.
You're listening to the Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. And if you're just tuning in, joining me is the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew. Mr. Prime Minister, I want to move to minimum wage. You also spoke about that during Budget 2024.
Yes.
What has the response been like since the minimum wage increase took effect in January 1st?
Well, I think most people are very much excited that they actually saw an increase in their minimum wage, which is meaningful. It can make a difference in their lives. I think people will get at least $180 more per month. And that means they can pay 2 extra bills sometimes. So it means they're going to have a positive impact. You can buy extra food, right? And therefore, it is important that we actually do that. So in a great sense, I would say that that will make sure that our workers can benefit tremendously. And they will benefit tremendously. Let me say this, Cornelius. For the past decade, we had not seen an increase in minimum wage. When you look at what all the workers' organizations, even the ILO, would say, that a wage is the best way to help a worker and to end any issues of poverty of the worker. Why is it important? Why we think a wage is better than just giving a passive handout. Because when you get a wage, one, your financial standing is stronger, which means you can approach an institution with more strength. Secondly, when you have an increase in wage, it is something that you are entitled to, and somebody just cannot cut it because they just decide to cut the minimum wage. It is in law. They will be breaching the law and have to answer. With just a passive, somebody can say cut it tomorrow. Also, with wages, it means that you would have a better pension from Social Security than you would have, because when you give a passive handout, that does not contribute to your Social Security. And so we want, when people retire, they can also get the best Social Security that they can have.
Right.
So these are the type of impact that increasing the minimum wage would have. And we have done that for the past decade. Nothing was done. It was well received, as you know, and also we are looking at where we will be in 2025 to increase it even more. While we are doing it, we are making sure that we manage inflation so that our people can really feel the effect of an increase in the minimum wage. It means if you could have a little bit more entertainment. You can take your children to a dinner. You can take your partner out. You can go and have to the movies that you couldn't afford before. So this can add real benefits and improve your quality of life. You might not have had internet in your home. You might say, well, I'm getting this extra money. Internet costs $60. Let me put in the internet.
Right.
Out of this money, I can have now the internet for me and my children. And so this money can really be used to improve the quality of life of those who work for minimum wage, which is a significant number of people in different areas. And so we are happy that we were able, after a decade, to increase the minimum wage of our people.
And Mr. Prime Minister, that responds to the question I had in terms of what made your administration support the increase in a minimum wage. But if we could continue, inflation.
Yes.
Mr. Conda, he was here recently and he spoke about the fact that the committee tasked with increasing the minimum wage looked at that. But how does your administration intend to respond to this in terms of inflation and stimulate the economy in order to maintain the minimum wage increase?
Right. So let me say a number of things. When it comes to the inflation and we look at the inflation rate, I think that the inflation rate is now leveling off. We don't know what the Red Sea issue would do to it. I really hope it does not result in a massive increase in inflation. But from our projections before that, we saw that inflation was leveling off, which means that the minimum wage would have an impact on our people. And so that is what we're keeping a very close eye on. How are we going to manage that? But we have been able to manage that thus far. You asked about the inflation and something else. Right.
Well, in terms of maintaining it.
Yes.
To maintain, the minimum wage.
Right, so to maintain the minimum wage, we looked at the economy on a whole. We look at where we're at, the growth expected, and so forth. All of that was done. You remember, we came in 2022, and people were asking, what is it we are actually doing in terms of the minimum wage? And I said, we have to be prudent about this. And so we introduced, with respect to that, having a task force headed by His Excellency Sam Conda, who put a team together with the Labor Department, other labor organizations, workers' organizations, private sector, and so forth, and they went to work. And so I've been asked, are we going to keep our promise with the minimum wage? The questions were coming.
Right.
And I kept saying yes, but we have to do it prudently, and we have to do it with the necessary backing of getting the data, which we did. And so we feel on solid ground that we have done something that is prudent and sustainable. Let me tell you something about the economy. The economy has grown this year. Not only that, we have seen collection at both the customs and inland revenue increase beyond what we projected.
Okay.
Increase, not just increase, but increase beyond what we projected.
Okay.
So the economy performed better than we expected. Why? We think there are a number of things contributing to that. Of course, we broadened the tax base, and we did not increase taxes, because remember, we had decreased both the incorporated tax and the corporate taxes. Those taxes were decreased, and we kept them. Even though we were advised to increase them, we said, let us look and see if we broaden the base, if we can have increase in revenue without putting some extra strain on business. If it becomes necessary, then it becomes necessary.
Right.
But we did it, and we recognized we were able to reach our target and surpass our target. So even businesses got a break, and the coffers of the government did not suffer as a result. And therefore, that is the best scenario you can be in. If you can keep your taxes low and still have the same revenue or more, it means therefore that you can stimulate the economy, because business keep more of the money, they can hire more people, they can invest more, and that in itself helps to further stimulate the economy. So this has been a win-win, and it is because we were prudent, we managed well. One of the things I think is coming out of it is because we are putting in place the good governance laws and to deal with integrity. I think if we send a strong message that we have to eliminate corruption as much as possible, that in itself stimulates an economy, because then people feel that they have a real chance to be successful. So that is why there is a tangible benefit to have a system that is based on integrity in public life or good governance laws, because it redounds in good opportunities for growth and so forth. And that is what we are looking at presently. So with respect to that, so we have seen that, and so we are on solid ground at this point in time, barring something significant happens. And we hope that our people who are benefited from the wage and so forth would, make sure that you put it to good use and they help themselves and their families.
Mr. Prime Minister, it's about 20 minutes past the 11 o'clock hour, so we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation right here on The Edge on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. Let's take this break. We'll be right back.
Thank you very much.
ZIZ Radio, entertaining the nation, enjoyed by the world.
Reach for DPH Cough and Cold for all your cold and flu symptoms, relief, rest, and ready again. Also available in children's formulation.
From the heart of ZIZ Radio comes a political talk show like no other. The Edge, with host Devonne Cornelius giving you his take on the biggest stories happening in governance today. Got something to say? Let's hear it. Give us a call at 869-465-2555, Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. One solid hour of in-depth analysis of the machinery that makes our country tick. The Edge, cutting into the matters at hand.
Welcome back to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius. If you're just tuning in, joining me in the program today is the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, and the conversation is centered around national matters of national importance. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Prime Minister. Again, thank you so much for joining me in the program. Today, I want to talk about the Sustainable Island State Agenda. This has been on the table for quite some time, and I want you to speak to projects and or initiatives that relate to the Sustainable Island State Agenda. Some time ago, and you will recall, I asked about the smart hospital.
Yes.
Even in one of the Facebook posts that you made about it.
Yes.
So, what is the status of plans to construct a smart hospital?
Right. So, with respect to the Sustainable Island State, as you know, it is our response really to deal with climate change and to make sure that we protect our environment, our people, our livelihood, and to protect lives. And everything that we do is really geared towards achieving the Sustainable Island State. It is a lofty goal, but we can achieve it. And that is why we are so excited about it. And I think the people in St. Kitts and Nevis are now coming familiar with the term. And all I will say is that the Sustainable Island State aims to make sure that we protect our people and our people can have better condition of living. Now, when you spoke about the budget, you mentioned a few factors, but a number of other things we did is that we increase wages, we increase salaries for civil servants to 8%. I want to say that 3% of that will go towards a saving for their pension plan. because for the pension plan to be sustainable, you have to contribute. And I want to say this to the civil servants. But we did not want the civil servants to just contribute from the previous salary and have difficulties.
Okay.
So what we did, we gave them an 8% increase, and 3% of that will go towards their savings in the pension plan. And the government will match that 3%. So then the civil servants, as in other companies, they will have a pension that will create and also social security. But I want to stress that the 3%, 8%, 5% was for you to see an increase in your salary, and the 3% for all civil servants and GAE workers is to go towards the savings, and the government is going to match it. I want to impress on our civil servants that you worked hard, and that is why we wanted to give you an increase. And what we want to create is a sustainable pension savings plan. And so we did not want you to feel the pain of the 3%. That is why we gave you 8% and took out 3%. And so any increase to come in the future, we'll always keep that in mind so that you can see an increase in your salary. So you'll see a increase 8% and a 3% contribution, and that was put there to protect you. That was to make sure that we did not go to your old salary, take out 3% and you take out less. Not only that, we did not even want you to have the same old salary. We wanted our civil servants to have an increase in salary of 5% and 3% towards the pension plan. There are those who might say, why take it out? But I have to be realistic. And this is a decision I have to make, that in order to make it sustainable, we have to change it into a contributory pension plan.
Okay.
However, one must note that we made sure that we did not hurt the civil servants. So even though 3% came out, we gave you 8% and took it out so that you are protected. So you will see that come out of your salaries, and I'm speaking to the civil servants. What that will create, and I'll answer your question,
right,
but it will make sure it creates a sustainable saving pension plan for our people. And that is what we want. So our GAE workers will also be covered. All our civil servants will be covered without any extra pain. Actually, they will see a 5% increase total so they can take home. Now, I also wanted to mention the minimum payment for Social Security as we round up the budget. In Social Security, for those who did not contribute, we increased the amount, and for those who contribute on the lower end, we also increase the amount.
Okay.
So they are going to see an increase. Those who receive in Social Security will also see an increase in their Social Security as well. Again, because we want to take strain off the PAP, because that is of how it's set up, we have to make it sustainable. So if we put it to a sustainable pension to Social Security, at least part of it, then it will become sustainable, and the seniors will be protected. The retired people will also be protected. So we have done a significant number of things within the budget to make sure that our people are protected, and we didn't add any new taxes at all. So basically, we have presented an innovative budget that will be down to the benefit of all of our people. And you also recognize that we increased the contribution to funeral from Social Security, because we don't want people that when all of us pass on,
right,
we leave in debt back here for our people. So we wanted to reduce the possibility of debt. Of course, you want to give more, but we increase it by $1,000 because we wanted, and we are saying to the funeral home, that is not for you to increase your prices. Otherwise, the government would have to look for other ways. But it's to give an ease to families, and so that, at the end of our lives, we are not adding debt to our people. So it's basically a budget that look at you from the time you are born to the time you have to go to your creator. And that is what the labor movement is really about. Now, when we come to the Smart Hospital is part of it, because the Sustainable Island State has a section there that's social protection. Under social protection come the issues of health. With climate change, with the stronger hurricanes we're expecting, we want a hospital that is modern, that is up to date, climate smart and technology smart. That will make sure give us the opportunity to improve our healthcare services. Where we're at, we are in the, as you know, we are partnering with the Republic of China, Taiwan. And so we are in the very final stages of the agreement with the right now. So we intend to start the construction of that hospital this year. However, we are not waiting until the hospital is constructed to start to improve healthcare services.
Okay.
We now at the JNF has the most specialists ever, and I want to announce that we brought in a specialist just 2 days ago from Cuba who is a specialist in endocrinology. What does that mean? A specialist who looks specifically after persons with diabetes, thyroid problem, hormonal problems. We have never had a person with that specialty here in St. Kitts permanent. You'll have visiting doctors, but now we have a specialist who will be working with the government to help us to deal with cholesterol, diabetes, thyroid problem, or hormonal problems in general. We also brought in a nurse anesthetist to work in the theater or operating room, because we are launching, as you know, we have launched our renal transplant program. We are doing significant work at the hospital. The foyer, if you go there, you'll see the changes. We're going to modernize its look. We're fixing up the back part of the hospital, the morgue, the roof part. We are going to attack the kitchen. We have put AC in the medical ward and the surgical ward. And so if people go there, they will see this continued improvement. Not just improvement in the physical, but in terms of the services. We are offering as well new CT scan that is to come here by April. The MRI will come later this year as well, because we are now going to construct the housing and stuff so forth for the MRI machine. So to answer your question, the smart hospital that is in the final stages, and we will start construction of that hospital this year.
Still on the Sustainable Island State agenda, geothermal.
Yes.
Where are we
right
with the geothermal?
So the geothermal, as was said before, these resources are Nevis. But of course, you need the federal government's input in order to get it done.
Okay.
And I think that the Nevis people deserve it. As you know, before there were back and forth political issues that didn't allow it to happen. But I'm pleased to say that the Premier and I, we have reached common ground on this. We have $17 million. That $17 million is a grant loan from the Caribbean Development Bank. We have approached the Saudis for the gap, which is another $20 million, and they have agreed. And so we intend to start the geothermal project, and that we are going to push ahead. That is expected to produce a lot of energy, and that will result, of course, in benefits for both the people of Nevis and the people of St. Kitts. And that can really transform our federation. It will transform us. If we were looking for oil, that is our oil. The geothermal, that is our oil. And that has the potential to really transform our islands, our federation. And so we are moving steadily along with that. And so we will have joint cabinet between the federal cabinet and the NIA cabinet on Monday. So we are traveling over to Nevis to join the INA in cabinet. And this is one of the things that I intend to bring up and discuss with the Nevis Island Administration's cabinet.
As you spoke about the smart hospital
Yes.
and the upgrades in healthcare, what is the status of the national health insurance?
Excellent question. So just recently, I discussed with the Director of Social Security, Mr. Lord, and also the Chair of Social Security. And what we are putting in place is a joint meeting between my advisor or National Health Insurance, led by my Chief Advisor for Health, Dr. Patrick Martin. And he's going to meet with Social Security to look at the actual report for National Health Insurance. Social Security would have to also implement some changes. And this is Social Security, our largest social safety net. National Health Insurance would also be. So they are meeting presently in to look at how best we can move as a federation to introduce this. So we are moving along, and we will bring that information to our people and educate our people on it. It is not an easy undertaking. It is a challenging undertaking, but it's an undertaking that we are committed to, because we believe, and I believe, that healthcare is a human right. That is why you see I put the children's fund in place. So any child who gets sick and have to receive treatment overseas, as indicated by their doctor, they can access the fund, and a number of children have accessed the fund, and a number of lives have been saved. That is our, but we can do that. But in order to achieve that across the board, you need a more comprehensive plan. And that is why we are seeking to see the National Health Insurance. This is challenging. I cannot say no. It will take a lot of dialogue with our people. We have to take it to the community centers, to the road, so our people can have input and discuss and see how, as a nation, we can do this for all of our people. So I ask our people to really join in the discussion so that we can move along.
And in terms of the funding of this?
Right, so coming out of that meeting where the actuarian would look at it, they would tell us what would be the best way going forward in terms of its funding. And that will be discussed with the people. So those discussions are going on with Chief Advisor for Health, Dr. Patrick Martin, and Social Security with the actuarian. So they can look at the actuarial report from National Health Insurance, actuarial report from SOS, and see where collaboration can have place, what would be the best way going forward, and so forth. And so out of that, I would be able to update our people here in St. Kitts and Nevis again.
It's about 11:40 and you're listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm Devonne Cornelius, and joining me today is Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation right up until noon for the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Let's take this break. We'll be right back.
ZIZ Radio, entertaining the nation, enjoyed by the world.
Reach for DPH Cough and Cold for all your cold and flu symptoms, relief, rest, and ready again. Also available in children's formulation.
The future is unknown. Protect your life, your family, and your valuables from unforeseen circumstances. Let National Caribbean Insurance give you the peace of mind that you so deserve. At NCI, we offer a suite of affordable insurance plans that can be tailored to ease your financial burden. We aim to deliver exceptional products to satisfy all your insurance needs. Whether life, health, motor, or property insurance, NCI has the right solution for you. Our friendly and knowledgeable sales professionals are ready and able to assist you. Let National Caribbean Insurance Company Limited help you to prepare for the unexpected. We serve, we protect, we satisfy. That's NCI.
From the heart of ZIZ Radio comes a political talk show like no other. The Edge, with host Devonne Cornelius giving you his take on the biggest stories happening in governance today. Got something to say? Let's hear it. Give us a call at 869-465-2555, Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. One solid hour of in-depth analysis of the machinery that makes our country tick. The Edge, cutting into the matters at hand.
Welcome back to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius. Thank you for joining in the studio with me is Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew. Mr. Prime Minister, we are winding down. We have just about less than 20 minutes left before we end this program. Do you have anything else to share with the listening audience before we open the phone lines?
Right, so I want to share that all of these things that we have spoken about in terms of achievements and our plans going forward, I want to thank the cabinet, the team, a team that has been working closely together, a team that is unified, a team that is thought-provoking, competent, dedicated, and loyal to their country, loyal to their party, and to the agenda of good governance and bringing the best for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And so I want to really thank that team. I know there have been things bantered around since day one. The results that we are able to achieve is because of how we are functioning as a team. And I want to thank all of them. Usually the thank yous come at the end, but before that. So I want to thank,
Yes.
and they have been complying with the integrity in public life agenda. So even when questions are raised of any member of my team, I don't take it lightly. I look at it, and I can say without a doubt that they maintain exceptional integrity. I want to say that thank, therefore, the Honorable Cornelius, who is the Minister of Infrastructure, et al. I want to also thank the Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas, Deputy Prime Minister Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, the Honorable Marsha Henderson, Honorable Samuel Duggins, to thank our senators as well, AG Gad Wilkin, and to thank Minister Iselin Phillip and Minister Dr. Joy Clark, who are the cabinet. And sometimes we might have an extended cabinet that can include our ambassadors. But the main cabinet, I want to thank them for their hard work and really for practicing what they speak, and I support every member of my cabinet. If there are questions raised, I always look at it very seriously, and I look at it prudently, without rush and haste, because I have to take concerns of others seriously. And what I have uncovered is that they are really applying themselves to the integrity in public life. And I want to say that they are submitting their documents, and we have submitted mostly all of our documents for the integrity in public life. You see, the DPP has put out a statement and given a deadline. That is how serious we are. The DPP is independent, who has his powers from the Constitution, and he has said that this law is in place and he intends to enforce the law. And I support the DPP. It applies to me and every member of my cabinet, and it applies to everybody in the government. That is why I'm so confident that even when questions are raised, we have put in place laws and mechanisms to make sure that we are complying ourselves. And any member of my cabinet or the cabinet of St. Kitts and Nevis who does not comply, they too will be subjected to the office of the DPP. They are not above the law.
Right.
They have to be subjected to the law. And so I am happy to say that they have really worked with a high level of integrity, every single one of them. But I want the public to know that we have created ways to report any impropriety with respect to any member of the civil service, and including elected officials and those in the cabinet. And when that is done, that is taken seriously, and a prudent look, you have to take it and prudently look at it. And I can say that this cabinet is a high-functioning, unified cabinet that is sticking to the laws of the integrity, every single one of them.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. We will now open the phone lines and take your calls at 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. That is our overseas number. Again, call us at 465-2555. And remember to be mindful of other callers who may want to get in. We have our first call for this morning. Caller, good morning and welcome to the program.
Yeah, good morning, Devonne, and good morning to the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Good morning.
Yeah, Mr. Prime Minister, I got two questions for you. How are you speaking about what do you think? Anyway, about wages? Yes, wages.
Yes.
Well, how come the Mary Charles Hospital do not get no wage? So that because of that, the dispensary is closed down. No medicine is in there for the patients when they will leave from the hospital. And next thing, the tent, the umbrellas that are placed there to shelter the people, and when they're waiting for the transport to come and pick them up after they will leave from the hospital, they are all torn up and ripped up. So the student, the patient, them have to go across the road and the trigger shelter. And the next question, you keep saying that the administration, before your administration, haven't done anything in 7 years. Well, answer the question straight, please. Which administration built the new road across Old Road Bay? And which administration built the new cruise pier that we have in Bastille? Thank you very much, sir. Have a good day.
All right, caller, thank you for your contribution. Let's head back to the phone lines and we'll take this call. Caller, good morning. You're on the program. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Good morning. Okay, we lost that. Let's hit this one. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Hello.
Yes, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
One question for the PM.
Yes.
Is Navy civil servants included in that 8% raise?
All right, caller, thank you for your contribution. We have any more calls? Okay, we'll take one more.
Let's do.
To ask the Prime Minister about the water jumps them he giving away in St. Peter's, but they passing me house straight. I wanted to know what I do to them, they passing me house straight, and everybody in Monkey gets in bed.
Yeah, who's if you give your name offline, I'll make sure that is corrected, caller, because you are deserving of one yourself. So
Well,
probably,
Well, you need to be in a bin by me gate because other people get bin and me ain't getting none.
no problem. Who is this? You want to give your name or you want to do it offline?
Me don't give me name. You should find out who I be.
Oh, I don't think the caller is interested in getting a bin. All right, then good.
All right.
So basically, if a caller calls in and don't want to share so that we can correct it, we might miss people because sometimes you are not home. So I would leave that. So that shows that there, we can leave that there. Okay. Good. So I can go through the questions.
Yes.
He spoke about the wages. I don't know. And then Mary Charles. I don't know what the connection is. But what we recognize, we had our pharmacists, and I think a notice should have been put out by the Ministry of Health that the pharmacist, one of them, I think, got pregnant, and one of them, I think, got an accident. So the number of pharmacists declined.
Okay.
So what we had to do, we did not have a pharmacist to go to Mary Charles. So we have put out a notice for pharmacists. So we are in contact with 2 potential persons, one from Belize and one from the Philippines, to come in to fill the gap. In the meantime, what we do, there is medicine in the pharmacy, but because of what happened, we had to temporarily close it so they can get their medicine. So we set up a system where you can get your medicine from JNF as a result of that. So that has been a challenge, and we are now in the process of recruiting. So the caller who called, who really interested in a solution, that is where the Ministry of Health is, and that is why we had to temporarily close the pharmacy in Molyneux because of what transpired with the pharmacist who was there. But we are quickly now resolving it as we have put out a call for pharmacists, and we are in contact with 2 who would come to fill the gap.
The question about Nevis civil servants and
he also talked about
8%.
the tent. I will.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I will ask them to take a look at the tent.
Okay.
We also discovered when we got there that Mary Charles had a serious water problem, which we are seeking to address. That had been an old problem that we are seeking to address as well. So I just want the caller to know that we are addressing those matters. But with respect to the tent, the wind and so forth can affect it. And if there's an issue, I would ask the Ministry of Health to take a look at the tent at the Mary Charles.
Okay. And the question from the caller
Right.
about...
So the 8%
Yes.
that had been applied in St. Kitts, Nevis. Nevis has a Nevis Island administration, and I know that they had a wage increase. They had, I think it's a 15%, 555.
Yes.
When St. Kitts had a 10. I looked at it and I said, okay, our people should also go up. So I did the 8%, which brings us to the 15% to equal Nevis. But remember, I said the 3% we will take out for the pension plan.
Okay.
Right.
Understood.
So in a sense, that is what happened. Caller. So the Nevis Island administration, who employs the persons in Nevis, they handle their wages and they handle their increases and their work condition and so forth. But for the federal workers, those in St. Kitts and some are in Nevis, like the police and security forces and so forth, that would apply to them.
All right, thank you. And I think there was a question about Old Road Bay.
Old Road Bay.
Yes.
So the caller previously who spoke about Mary Charles and so forth he said that I said that the previous government had not done anything. I was speaking specifically to a number of things. If you ask me, I would say that they had not done significant things like wage increase and those type of fundamental things to transform the lives of the people. With respect to the cruise pier, we know that that had been agreed to under the previous Labour administration, and so when they came in, it was just a matter of continuing it.
Okay.
That is the plan. Now, with respect to the Old Road Bay, we see what they did there, and I say that was done under the previous administration. We had a plan for the Old Road Bay. We would not have touched the bay. We would have cut the road through the mountains and open up all that land for development and leave the pristine Old Road Bay. We still have a plan we still have the plan, but we see what happened, that what they pursued was to put large rocks there, and it affected the beauty of the old wood bay. But we would have gone on the top and leave the nature intact on the lower end, so people would not have lived close and would not have been at rest, because the road would have been through the hill. So I would like to say, on the cruise pier, where that came from, it was the idea from the previous Labour administration, and the old road bay was built by the last administration, and that's a fact, and I would give that as a fact. Okay? All right,
thank you for that. Let's head back to the phone lines and we'll take some more calls. Caller, you are on the air. Good morning. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Prime Minister and the announcer.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, one thing I want to thank you for before I go. Thank you to remembering seniors when anything.
Yes.
I'm pleased with you with that one.
Yes.
You don't forget seniors.
Yes.
And another thing again I want to discuss to you, because I'm not about to pay attention to that. The new hospital we're going to build across the road there.
Yes.
What about drainage? All below private land. So what about business, I must say? So what about drainage?
Right.
All right.
Because remember you had a drain under the road there who take the water, who go down, and they stop it up. So this new hospital, you got to think about drainage, because all business place below.
Yes.
Okay,
all right, caller.
Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution.
Thank
Let's
you very
take
much, caller.
one more call,
yes,
and then you could get to the questions. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, man. Good morning to you and the Honorable Prime Minister.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, we know that there has been a big story in the news this week, the Big Lights Watley situation. Do you care to make any comments about this at this time? And is there any correlation of what has transpired? Is there any correlation to the newly passed Whistleblower Act, the Whistleblower Act? And will there be any type of legal fallout from both sides? And instead of the action that was taken to terminate his services, should he have been protected under the newly passed Whistleblower Act? Should there be some protection offered to him instead of this public display that happened there this week? And I guess I'll leave it there for now, man. All right?
All right, caller. Thank you for your contribution to the program. We will pause on the calls. Mr. Prime Minister.
Right. Thank you very much.
Drainage for new
yes,
hospital.
the drainage. That is a very good point, caller, with respect to the drainage for the new hospital. The drainage, of course, will be taken into account as they plan, and that is already being looked at. So I want the caller to know that, yes, that is being looked at, and it will be part and parcel of the planning for the construction of the new hospital, which will benefit all of our people here in St. Kitts and Nevis. The caller also thanked me and us for remembering the seniors. I would say, with respect to the caller and the seniors, is that the seniors would always be a part of our agenda. And what we have done, we have started what we call the seniors program, where we have daycare for seniors. We had it in 3 community centers. We're now going to expand it so that most of our seniors, twice a week, will be engaged at the community centers in a lot of activities to advance them. We also want to give some of our retired seniors who are GAE, who never receive a pension, to now receive a pension. We have also increased their payment at Social Security. And reason why we are investing so much in our seniors is that people should not have to live so difficult a life when they retire after contributing. So we are doing our very best to ease the burden of our seniors, because it's not just adding years to your life. We also want to add life to our years. And therefore, you should see the activities that the seniors engage in. They went to the Dolphin Park, they did excursion to Nevis. The seniors went movies. Some of the seniors were saying that it's the first time they ever went into a movie. And therefore, it shows that we are serious when we say that we want to invest in our seniors. And so we have remembered all of our people from children all the way to our seniors. Somebody calling about the water jam. I don't know who the person is, but of course, if we miss the person, we will be happy to address it. So had that person given their names, I would be able then to ask the persons who are involved to take a look at it and see why this was skipped. Nonetheless, we want to help all of our people. With respect to what he spoke about in terms of the matter, as you know, the matter with Big Lies, as he said, and the Honorable, it is, a legal matter at this particular point in time. What I would say, and so once it becomes their things, what I would say, as I said in the beginning, any question that is asked of any member of the cabinet, it would have to be looked at. And that is why I was so prudent, and some people say maybe slow, to talk about it. It's because now today I'm speaking about it. I wanted to be able to reflect that we had taken the time to make sure that we look and we do not take any statement for granted. And therefore, that is why I'm able to say that the members of cabinet are abiding by the integrity law. And so I'm happy to report that. I support the members of cabinet, but I take those things seriously. And basically, what I have seen and what have been reported to me is that all members of cabinet are in keeping with the integrity law and the good governance laws. That is why I was prudent and slow to speak to the matter until I would have received any type of relevant information. And so today, as I speak, of course, with confidence of what we have looked at. Basically. So it has become a legal matter. Of course, we have put the Whistleblowers Act and so forth. And so we are asking that our people look at the law. The law was passed. There is a channel that you can use, and our people have access to it. And I want to encourage our people to use those channels so that, in a great sense, you make sure that everybody has equal opportunities and equal protection under the law. Those who would make accusations and those who accuse. It is important that each person get, of course, their own protection under the law. And so the law is applied when it has to definitely be applied.
Mr. Prime Minister, we are out of time. It's noon, and so we're going to have to bring this program to a close. I'll now give you the opportunity to make your closing comments.
Right. So I want to say that the cabinet is united. The cabinet is strong. I want to say even the Honorable Cornelius Maynard is a part of the strong cabinet as well. And so I want to thank the whole cabinet again for their contribution to the development of their country, for all that they have been doing thus far to make sure that we practice what we preach. But not only that, but to bring innovation, competence, putting our people at the center of development, creating an environment that had never been seen before in terms of the innovation that we are bringing forward. So I want to thank each and every one of them and to encourage them to continue to abide by the integrity in public life, laws, and so forth. And to say to the public, of course, that you have they have their channels through which any issues that they want to raise, they can be raised. This is the first time in our history that we have created those channels. And I have said that this government would have nothing to hide because we are going to practice transparency and good governance and integrity in public life. And I want to encourage all of our civil servants, or those who are supposed to submit their documents, to do so, because the DPP is very serious and we are very serious about making sure that we comply with the laws for good governance. I want to wrap up, of course, by saying that the budget that we have passed is a budget that would redound to the benefit of you, the people. The people would benefit, Cornelius. And therefore, this year is the year for implementation. I want to say to our people that we have a number of critical projects coming on track. The hospital, our housing, we are wrapping up the 2 model homes to launch that. We are also the renegotiated solar plant be to the benefit of our people with a reduced cost and giving our people the opportunity to buy into it, which had never been there before. That will also get on the way. As you know, we just turned soil for Hotel Indigo. I've never spoken about it. But there are things that's going to happen that are going to be massive things that I have not spoken about. I only speak about things when they're at the point of no return, which means everything had been signed off on. So the same thing with the minimum wage. Sorry. Still have a little bit of cough. The same thing with the minimum wage. I told the people, give us some time. The same thing with the increase, give us a little bit of time. The dividend that we paid, what we did for independence in terms of the reset, helping people with electricity, water, and giving them, of course, for the contribution to development of our country as an independent country, $1,000 as well. And so we have done a number of things to make sure that our people benefit and advance. And we will continue to see those development. So I will finally say that we are working hard. We'll continue to work hard. There will be challenges. We will come to the people with honesty, and I will always be prudent with the people and make sure that I cross the T's and dot the I's, so that when I speak from a position of being informed and not being pressured to make statements when I don't have all of the information. And that is why I was able to say what I said today with respect to the Honorable Cornelius Maynard, who continues to abide by the laws of the integrity in public life. And so I want to encourage all of them to continue to do so. And if people have questions, you have a right to send your question. Use the channels that are available to you, and I will not take that lightly, as I did not take this lightly. And that is why I can speak with such confidence with respect to that. So I want all of people to know that you are at the center of all that we do. Continue to encourage us, to support us as we work on your behalf. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, and thank you for joining me here on The Edge on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. Thank you to the listeners who tuned in via radio, TV, as well as ZIZ's social media platforms. I hope to have you back in the future. This is your second time coming on the program, so hope to have you back in the future to also interact with the callers, the listeners as well. Thank you, and have a good one.
Thank you very much, Devon. Always a pleasure.
All right. All right.